Ever wonder what your favorite A-list actors and music icons do when the cameras stop rolling? While they might be walking red carpets and winning awards by day, there's a whole other side to them, a side that runs on gasoline and two wheels. From multi-million-dollar collections to custom-built choppers, these stars are just as passionate about motorcycles as they are about their craft. Buckle up, because today we're counting down the top 12 celebrity motorcycle enthusiasts who are seriously obsessed with the open road. Number 12, Tom Cruise. Our journey opens with Tom Cruise, a man whose history with motorcycles stretches across decades of filmmaking and personal practice. His story illustrates how a machine can evolve from a cinematic icon into a lifelong discipline. Long before the cameras roll, he is already out there, warming up the tires, listening to the cadence of an engine climbing into its sweet spot. The Kawasaki GPZ 900R he made famous carried a liquid-cooled inline-4 that shattered expectations in its day, pushing past 150 miles per hour with a confidence that suited him perfectly. As his career evolved, so did his taste for precision machines. One of the peak examples is the Ducati Desmosedici RR, a street-legal descendant of top-tier racing with a 989cc V4 that responds like a coiled spring. In its original release, it carried a price near $72,500. A number that reflects its purity of purpose. Cruise rides for mastery, not spectacle. But celebrity does not always express itself through horsepower and high-octane spectacle. Some public figures carry their status differently, quieter and deeper, trading red carpet flash for something far more personal. And if Cruise's collection impressed you, wait until you see the next name on our list, whose machine costs far less yet reveals far more about the life behind the fame. Because our next celebrity does not ride to be seen, he rides to vanish into the world he rarely gets to enjoy. Number 11, Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus rides like a man trying to fold himself into the landscape, slipping past the noise of fame one quiet mile at a time. When he settles onto his Triumph Tiger 800, the world shrinks down to wind, throttle, and the steady heartbeat of a liquid-cooled inline triple engine. That bike's tall stance, tubular steel frame, and long travel suspension turn rough pavement and gravel stretches into something almost calming. A fresh Tiger 800 usually begins in the low $12,000 range. But for Reedus, its true worth comes from the freedom it grants him, not the receipt that came with it. Imagine him at daybreak, easing into a gravel pull-off outside a lonely roadside cafe. The triple winds down with a soft, settling murmur while he steps off, helmet tucked under an arm, boots dusted with miles he never cared to count. He rides not to impress or escape responsibility, but to sift through life's clutter until only the essential pieces remain. The Tiger becomes his moving sanctuary, a place where thoughts settle and the world finally stops tugging at his sleeve. But the life of a wanderer, for all its romance, is still a familiar story. The drifter, the nomad. Some riders turn their helmets into canvases rather than compasses. They shape machines into statements, objects of style and invention. And the next name on our list treats every bike like an original work of art. Number 10, Pharrell Williams. Pharrell Williams approaches motorcycles the way he approaches an empty bar of music, slowly and intentionally, letting possibility take shape before sound or motion ever arrives. His eye drifts toward custom BMW builds, especially the modern boxer platforms like the R9T, a machine that invites reinvention. A fresh R9T begins in the mid-$16,000 range, yet his versions rarely remain in factory trim. They shift and evolve under his direction, each line reconsidered, each surface refined until the bike feels less manufactured and more composed. Inside a workshop, his movements carry the calm focus of a producer tuning a mix. The air hums with the steady pulse of a 1,170cc boxer twin, its opposing cylinders reaching outward like open wings. Electronics breathe quietly in the background, smoothing throttle transitions and sharpening response. When he draws a new fairing curve, he does it with deliberate patience, adjusting the angle as if he were balancing tones on a soundboard, searching for harmony rather than flash. The boxer platform suits that mindset. Broad and predictable torque delivered low in the revs, a shaft drive that promises long-term dependability, and subtle rider aids that act like filters in a polished track. In his hands, the motorcycle becomes intention made physical, a sculpted instrument with motion as its melody. And if you're loving this list of A-list gearheads, you gotta let us know. Smash that like button right now. It really helps the channel. and subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss our next video, because we have got deep dives into the garages of more motorcycle enthusiast celebrities coming very soon. Now back to the countdown. The celebrity that follows is warmer, less curated, and if Pharrell's precision caught your ear, the next name brings something entirely different, a motorcycle that feels less engineered and more remembered. Because the next legend does not chase design, he chases the stories only an old engine can tell. Number 9, Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz rides with memory woven into the miles, letting the low thrum of a retro Indian Scout stir the same emotions his music carries. For him, that liquid-cooled V-twin is more than power. It is rhythm, a steady beat he feels deep in his chest. On slow afternoons, he will ease to the side of the road, rest a boot on warm pavement, and play a worn record on a small speaker tucked in his saddlebag. As the Scout's chrome catches the light, he listens for parallels, the cadence of the cylinders, the grooves of the song, the way both pulse with the same lived-in warmth. The scent of aged leather and a hint of oil cling to the air, echoes of tours, cities, and quiet moments between shows. His Scout blends classic cruiser poise with modern strength. Beneath its graceful fenders and timeless stance beats a 1,250 C60-degree bi-twin, tuned for steady and confident torque. A belt drive and a 6-speed gearbox smooth out each surge, while its low seat and relaxed ergonomics create a ride that feels intimate and almost therapeutic. Kravitz treats the machine as a creative partner, a moving sanctuary where memories settle, ideas rise, and inspiration rides pillion. But for some celebrities, nostalgia is not enough. They seek the private sanctuary the machine provides. They do not ride for image or melody, they ride for solace. The next actor we meet retreats, protects, and preserves his own silence with the same quiet devotion, and his motorcycle becomes a room where he can finally be alone. Number 8, Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds rides the way he navigates attention, gently and deliberately, guarding a small circle of calm that fame can never quite reach. His Triumph Thruxton suits that instinct. A modern cafe racer with restrained elegance, clean proportions, and just enough spirit to feel present without demanding applause. Before sunrise, when the city still yawns in the half-light, he eases the bike from its spot, settles into the saddle, and lets the parallel twin warm into a steady and comforting thrum. In that moment, the world shrinks to one quiet heartbeat. Out on empty streets, Reynolds is not a headline or a character. He is simply a man following a feeling. Storefronts sleep behind pulled shades. Crosswalks wait for their first footsteps, and the only sound is the muted echo of the Thruxton's exhaust drifting along brick corridors. The bike's silhouette, slim and intentional and almost calligraphic, cuts through the cool air like an ink stroke across untouched paper. He rides not for adrenaline, but for equilibrium. The 1,200cc parallel twin fits that purpose perfectly, delivering its torque with poised steadiness. A slightly forward lean keeps him alert without strain, and modern traction control, strong brakes, and carefully tuned suspension create a ride that feels composed and dependable. A new Thruxton RS usually begins in the mid-$16,000 range, a cost that mirrors its craftsmanship more than its attitude. Reynolds rides in pursuit of peace, a measured blend of style and serenity. Yet calmness has its limits. Some riders hunger for horizons that cannot be circled in a weekend. They chase maps rather than coffee shops, and the miles they take are long enough to change them. Ahead is a celebrity who has made epic journeys on two wheels, traveling continents and embracing the world through his love of riding. Number 7, Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor rides with the spirit of a pilgrim, a man who gathers meaning in miles and lets distant horizons shape him. His devotion to the road has carried him across continents, on screen and off. Yet his bond with motorcycles is deeper than adventure. Whether astride a stalwart BMW GS or the occasional soulful Moto Guzzi, he treats each machine as a companion on a journey that tests patience, grit, and curiosity. For him, riding is not escape, it is education. The memory of those expeditions clings to him. Salt dries on his jacket after ferry crossings. Knobby GS tires grind through fresh gravel. Dawn's first light nudges him forward as he rolls into a tiny settlement where strangers greet him with warm tea and easy conversation. These moments reshape him, reminding him that borders are invitations, not barriers. Every crossing teaches humility. Every distant town confirms that kindness speaks its own language. The GS machines he favors rely on their trademark boxer twins, engines hovering near 1,200 cc, paired with long travel suspension, a shaft drive system built for longevity, and electronic aids that keep the bike composed when the terrain is not. A current R1300 GS Adventure typically begins in the low $22,000 range, a price that reflects its expedition-ready purpose. McGregor rides to learn, but not all devotion is outward. Some celebrities turn their love inward, to craft, to challenge, or to defy expectation. They are louder in persona and quieter in practice. Their bikes are pieces of themselves. The next rider channels that contradiction, bringing both performance and personality to every turn. And when he mounts up, the screen can never quite contain him. Number 6, Pink. For Pink, motorcycling is not a hobby, it is a declaration. On the road, she finds a space untouched by fame, where raw power and personal freedom speak louder than any stage ever could. The Bonneville is not an attention-hungry showpiece, it is a rider's motorcycle, built for feel, rhythm, and connection. Its air-cooled parallel twin taps out that familiar Bonneville heartbeat, a steady and vintage pulse that settles into her chest as the miles slip past. Out on an open stretch of highway, that sound becomes its own quiet conversation about freedom, rebellion, and holding her course, even when the world tries to steer her elsewhere. When the stage lights fade, she blends into the road like any other rider chasing a moment of calm. Picture her coasting into a small gas station on a state back road, helmet tucked under her arm, the engine clicking in the afternoon heat. No spectacle, just a woman taking a breath. Her era of Bonneville carries an 865cc air-cooled twin, while newer liquid-cooled 900cc versions generally begin in the low $10,000 range. Pink's ride whispers freedom and quiet rebellion, a personal pulse against the roar of celebrity life. But if you think Pink's $10,000 Bonneville is impressive, you are not ready for what comes next. Because the next celebrity does not just ride, he lives in a world where rebellion is currency, engines are identity, and the price tag is only the opening act. Number 5, Kid Rock. Kid Rock enters the list as one of the most recognizable American entertainers whose life on the road naturally extends onto two wheels. He is the perfect embodiment of rock and roll meets biker culture. You cannot separate his music from his machines. He is as famous for hits like Bawa Daba as he is for his custom Harley-Davidsons, often draped in the American flag. These machines rely on hefty air-cooled V-twin engines that deliver broad and muscular torque, the kind that digs into the asphalt and pulls you right into the next county. A fresh Harley touring model rolls onto the showroom floor in the mid-$20,000 range, but that price tag barely hints at why he keeps coming back to them. He treats the ride as a personal ritual. Before the first chord of a show ever rings out, he shrugs into a weather jacket that has soaked up years of sweat, storms, and late-night miles. The gloves follow, smelling faintly of old gasoline and dry leather. One breath, one steady swing into the saddle, and the V-twin grumbles awake with that unmistakable American heartbeat. Kid Rock may chase freedom on machines starting in the mid-$20,000 range, but even that rebellious surge reflects only one side of celebrity motorcycling. Because beyond the open road lies a world shaped not by defiance, but by preservation, precision, and mechanical devotion. And if Kid Rock's V-twin Thunder impressed you, the next figure commands engines that climb past $150,000. A cultural icon whose garage does not house motorcycles, it safeguards their history. Number 4, Jay Leno. Few names in American entertainment carry the weight of Jay Leno, and even fewer riders have embraced the history of motorcycling with such depth, devotion, and encyclopedic fascination. His vast garage is not simply a collection, it is a working archive, alive with machines from every decade and design philosophy imaginable. A few steps in one direction, and you are staring at the MTTY-2K, its Rolls-Royce turbine, whispering with the strange promise of aircraft power. Turn another corner and you find early twins, old singles, and carefully restored carbureted fours that carry the warm honesty of metal kept in motion, rather than sealed behind glass. Leno rides what he owns, always choosing experience over display. Late at night, he often wanders through that enormous space, touching tanks and fenders the way most people leaf through photo albums. Some bikes in his world cost well over $150,000, while others entered life near 10 to 30,000. But he values them all for the stories they hold. But passion can appear in many forms, not all of them housed within a museum-like collection. Some riders embrace motorcycles with energy, humor, and a deep personal enthusiasm. And coming next is a figure whose relationship with riding is as lively as it is authentic. Number 3, Dax Shepard. Dax Shepard arrives at number 3 with a kind of enthusiasm that feels unfiltered and unmistakably genuine. A lifelong rider whose excitement for motorcycles burns as brightly off-screen as it does on it. Long before the cameras found him, he was studying lines, lean angles, and that delicate rhythm between throttle and traction. His garage mirrors that passion, part workshop, part playground. His Ducati hypermotored feels like a restless creature, while the Ducati Sport 1000 brings a smoother, nostalgic pulse that softens the room. But when he wants to test himself, he reaches for the Yamaha R1, a razor-edged machine built for riders who crave precision. And the way he approaches that bike reveals something most people never see. But not every rider hunts the future. Some return to engines born before electronics, and noise reshaped the road. Their garages become archives where each bolt and stain carries its own history. And if Dax's power-heavy roster impressed you, the next name treasures motorcycles more than he collects them. Number 2, Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa's story with motorcycles runs deeper than simple ownership. It is rooted in heritage, craftsmanship, and a reverence for machines that bridge generations of American two-wheel culture. His vintage Harley panheads and knuckleheads aren't just old V-twins to him, they're time capsules. Those engines pulse with that uneven, loping rhythm only early American twins can make, a sound that feels half mechanical, half spiritual. Momoa seems to absorb that energy, drawn to every quirk, every scar, every stubborn bolt that refuses to turn without a fight. But he's just as passionate about the new generation. His Harley Pan America 1250 gives him the freedom to chase dirt roads and forgotten trails. Its Revolution Max engine delivering broad, usable torque that suits his wanderer's personality. Then there is the Harley Livewire, an entirely different kind of thrill, instant torque, no gears, no hesitation, just silent acceleration that hits like a lightning strike. But at the summit of this countdown stands a rider whose influence extends beyond ownership or admiration. He is a figure who turned personal passion into engineering ambition. Finally, we arrive at the enthusiast who helped create an entirely new chapter in contemporary motorcycling. Number 1, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves rides with the calm intensity of someone who treats motorcycles as teachers rather than trophies. Long before Arch existed, he was already chasing the purity of older machines, early Kawasaki's, Norton Commandos, bikes built in an era when character mattered more than polish. Riding for him has always been a form of stillness in motion, a way to stay grounded when the world spins too fast. Arch only deepened that philosophy. Walk into their workshop and everything speaks of intention. The clean scent of aluminum freshly cut, the low clatter of cooling tools, the quiet pride in parts shaped one piece at a time. Their KRGT1 isn't simply manufactured, it is sculpted. Its V-twin sends a warm, steady heartbeat through the chassis, a pulse that feels almost aware of the rider holding the grips. Picture Keanu after hours, alone in that workshop, palm resting on a raw fuel tank, as if listening for something only he can hear. And there is a reason he returns to that room night after night, one that reveals far more than the machines themselves. It is a reminder that riding is never just about speed or power. It is about presence, passion, and the quiet moments where the world falls away, leaving only the connection between rider, machine, and road. Every curve of metal, every pulse of the engine becomes a conversation, a meditation, a way to feel life fully, a lesson every motorcyclist, celebrity or not, can carry beyond the asphalt. And if these journeys inspired you to dive deeper and explore your own connection to the road, click the next video on the screen, drop a hype, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep the stories alive, one ride at a time.